Peace, everybody. Welcome to another segment of Masterminds Monday. I am your host, Felicia Tara Alanu, and we are also here with our other host, Brother Damon Rawls.
Greetings, greetings.
Peace. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Good to be back.
Good, good. So, again, of course, before we get into it, I just wanted to apologize. We had some technical difficulties. So, tonight, unfortunately, we just can't show the slides, but we can at least still, proceed with the show. But just to start off with some announcements, again, coming up in January, we have a whole series of webinars for 2016, and the first one is on meditation. So on January 9th, 2016, I'm sorry, from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll be presenting on meditation. So be sure to please RSVP in advance, and you can do that at saduhouse.com/events, as well as see as the whole roster for the 2016. So you can RSVP for meditation, crystal, water magic, whatever it is that you're interested in. Let us know that you're coming in advance. And again, you can do that at thedualhouse.com/events. Also, at the Alpha Omega store, we are doing another and final series or sale for December. So we are going to do a 15% off to honor the winter solstice, which again is the onset of winter, and it kind of marks the shortest day and the longest night of the entire year. So again, we all about nature, and it's a nature-based spirituality, so we kind of want to, go with the seasonal highlights of the year as well, that we honor. So again, you're going to get 15% off your entire order, and we have a lot of new products in our inventory, including djembe drums. We have some really cool chamber pendulums which came in, and they're cool because you can not only divine with them, but you can also charge them with your own oils and herbs by placing them inside of the chamber inside of the pendulum. So very, very cool. Of course, you have new crystals and cauldrons. You have a lot more stuff coming in as well as gift certificates. So now as well through the 22nd, you can also get a good gift certificate. If you're shopping for someone else and you're not sure what to give them, you can sign up for a gift certificate. And again, the special is going from now through December 22nd, which again is the onset of winter. So again, you can learn more by going to alphaomegastore.com. Brother Damon, you had any announcements as well?
No, just the same one that DRC is expanding into some different cities. So definitely would love to have individuals.
Oh wait, we can't hear you, brother Damon. Damon, we can't hear you.
You can't hear me at all?
Now we can. Now we can.
What about now?
Yes, I can hear you now. We can hear you now.
Okay. So, again, just growing. So if individuals are interested, they can send their resume over to Damon at DamonRalls.com.
Oh, we missed the whole beginning though.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. So I was saying that similar to the ones 2 weeks ago, is that we're expanding into some different cities and looking to partner with individual consultants out there. So if folks have any background in finance or
Yeah, stay right there, whatever you're doing, because you keep coming in and out, but we can hear you now.
I don't know what's going on with my phone. So
Okay.
I'm sorry, my phone's going crazy on me.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're expanding into different cities, so people are interested. We're looking to partner with other folks, and so maybe send a resume over to
All right. Yeah, I think you might have to do something with your mic because it's very difficult to hear you. So we caught some of it, but not all of it. Can you say something just so I can just test to make sure we can hear you before you proceed?
What about now?
That's perfect. So yeah.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
Okay. All right. So again, maybe before we close out, you can give that announcement again.
Okay,
But
we'll do that then.
yeah, because it's like perfectly clear every time you stop talking. um, but again, to get into tonight's topic, we wanted to explore the topic of conflict, resolution for business success. And again, just carrying on with the theme again of pulling the medicine cards, we were inspired by that as well, to kind of touch on it, but from like a different perspective. And again, the card that came up for this topic is a little different. You wouldn't think of it as conflict resolution, but we wanted to tie it into it. And the deer came up, but in the contrary position. And again, just to go back a little bit, again, when we speak about conflict resolution, it's not necessarily just we're not just talking about like conflict with people. Sometimes it can just be like internal conflict. So when it comes to business, it can be an example where you might have conflict with your business partner or your employees, or or your manager or whatever, or it could be conflict with yourself if you are like a sole proprietor. You don't have any other people to be report to or that report to you, but you may have some like inner conflict going on because there is a need to resolve some type of difference or decide between two opposing ideas. It could be, okay, do I continue to stay as a sole proprietor, or do I now open up my corporation and function as a corporation? Something simple as that. But it's about like deciding what's the best route to take from these opposing ideas. And I just wanted to touch on the inner conflict a little bit, and that's what the deer comes in. And that medicine guides you to not force the issue. So again, if it's again just something that you are maybe scared to do, because again we have that fear coming up, and the deer deals with that a little bit. When you're scared, you might want to force something without thinking it through. Or you may be extremely negative about the situation instead of being more gentle, because the deer represents gentleness. So it's guiding you to be more gentle with yourself, not being totally stressed out with some inner turmoil that you may have going on, and to kind of, release the control and just kind of like look at things in a more impartial and more objective position, so that you can then see it a little bit more clearly to make a better decision. And that can come down to getting a piece of paper out, you know, drawing a line down the middle and doing your pros and cons to really see, okay, what's the best decision, to kind of reconcile some conflict that you may have going on. Whether again it's a personal sole proprietorship, or if it is a business. If you do have an issue with your partner and you guys cannot reconcile your differences, again, the deer is advising you to like not force it, not to be so negative, and don't project your fears onto other people. Because that can happen a lot of times, especially when you are dealing with other people. You may be scared or something, and you're putting that on them, and now you're creating this like very tense environment, and it doesn't allow for harmony to take place. And that's the key goal of conflict resolution, is to try and find some balance and harmony between two opposing sides or two opposing factions, or just even two opposing ideas that you may have within yourself. So again, just going from the deer medicine is to take a step back, be a little bit more gentle with yourself, be aware of the fear that may be present with these decisions that you have to make, but face them without forcing anything, and do it more from an impartial or an objective stance, so that you can look at it very clearly, as if it was a person who had no idea what's going on in your life, and they came in and you told them about it, and then they kind of helped you guide it through it. So it's kind of like stepping out of yourself, stepping out of your body and looking at it from like a third person, and seeing how you can possibly explore other options to whatever your situation is, without you know feeling horrible and being extremely negative and hard on yourself or others when it comes to having conflict with other people. So, Brother Damon, what were your thoughts on that as well?
No, I think you had some really great points about it. One thing about conflict resolution to me, and it's one is the ability to think. and it's sometimes we get so kind of starch in our position on things and how we think things should be, really are, etc. And we just move forward and we don't listen to other people, and we even misjudge our own self, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, because conflict resolution, just like you just said, it's not just about other individuals, but it's about yourself as well, and not having conflict with yourself. And typically, internal conflict comes from a position of what we consider to be true. And most of the time, what we consider to be true is wrong. We consider, well, I'm typically not a type of person. We have the wrong thoughts about ourselves, right? We think, oh, well, that's not me. I'm not that type of person.
Mm-hmm.
And that's an internal conflict. The reality of you actually may be that type of person. Um, and so there's, some internal dialogue that you got to work through. And then, on the outside, conflict with other individuals, the ability to talk to people and listen to people, and to be cognizant of outside ideas and opinions. So I always kind of think about that. Well, we agree to disagree because people have their own opinions, etc., that are formulated by their upbringing, or so even as people in the same house have different opinions about positions on issues. So um, that's my kind of 2 cents. But I think you really hit some great points too about conflict resolution, and
Mm-hmm.
in business, conflict resolution is important, especially when if you kind of move your business from you to other people. You know, so you're starting bringing in, let's say, you change the way you do business, and now you're bringing partners, and you're working with a lot of outside contractors and folks and strategic partnerships. Then you've got to manage personalities, even employees. Um, I internal story. I mean, I found myself in an argument with an employee the other day, and they totally weren't listening to something I was saying, and I started to scream a little bit. And typically, I'm pretty much a hothead, and I decided that I need to do better in that regard. And so I
Mm-hmm.
pulled back a little bit and just sat down in my chair and was like, all right, let's talk this through. So um, but there are many different ways to manage conflict. But conflict resolution and management is important. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was a little hard to hear you, but we got the gist of what you were saying. And those are the great points as well, because like you said, you specifically have people working under you. So I was going to ask you if you've ever had to deal with conflict from your staff, and how did you handle it to come to, again, like we're trying to say, like a harmonious result.
yeah. Um, one, I had to let them know where in this particular situation, and in most situations, you have to hear each. Both sides have to be heard. I've learned that you've got to hear your people out and hear what they have to say, and allow them to have an opinion. Now, at the end of the day, my opinion overrides everything. But I'm gonna let you have an opinion. And sometimes their opinion is valid, and I've gone with what they've had to say. Um, but other times it's been my show. But the point to that is letting both sides talk.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and to me, that's the best way to resolve conflict, because typically most times people aren't even upset with the thing that they think that they're upset about. Most people aren't having a real conversation with each other. And if you sit down and you just listen, and if I were, let's just say if you and I were in a situation where we were beginning to have some animus feelings about, some work situation. If I were to say, well, sis Felicia, tell me what are you thinking right now? And you said, well, Damon, it's this, and that. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even realize I was doing that to you.
Mm-hmm.
Or I was making you feel that way. And you may say, you know what, Damon, your aggressiveness makes me feel like you're not even paying attention to what I'm trying to say or what we're trying to do as a team, which allows me to go, oh, okay. And so maybe I need to pull back and dial back a little bit. Or maybe I need to listen a little bit more. Or maybe I need to get more input because you may feel like you're pulling all the work, doing all the work, pulling all the weight. So, but in the dialogue is the key to conflict resolution in
Mm-hmm.
couples, in business, in real life. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I believe that as well. Like you have to be able to, be heard and listen as well. Like the dialogue is important. Um, and like you said, even in, whether it's any type of relationship, work relationships or whatever. I remember I was reading an article years ago because I was always interested in um, like alternative relationships, what works as opposed to, you see in the supermarkets like every other day, they're married and 2 days later they're divorced. And this article I read, I forgot what it was about. It was a long time ago, but it was saying how they handle conflict resolution was the key to longevity. So it wasn't like they had the perfect solution in terms of how they handle conflict resolution. It was just showing how these, like they did a study on, I guess, people married over like 30 years or something like that. They had a long term marriage. And there was a certain pattern that they discovered, and it was like three types of quote unquote marriages. And if I can remember it carefully, one was like avoiders. So people that totally just avoid conflict in period. Um, that's not how I am. I think that's very annoying. But they were saying how people I was like, well, how is that a long lasting marriage? Well, it was like, well, if both of these people are avoiders, then they never argue about anything. So, so I mean, there's people out there that are like that. So it was like, okay, they may not have a real strong emotional type of relationship, but they won't argue about anything because they don't want to deal with the confrontation. So it's going to be a lot of pent up frustration and stuff like that, or real emotions that aren't really expressed, but they don't have a lot of fights, and that's a part of why I don't think that one area is the key to so many facets to a relationship. Well, again, like whether it's business or personal, but this one was highlighting the theme that it saw. And then the second one, I believe, was like bicker, like people that bicker all the time. And I'm like, okay, how does that last if everybody's arguing all the time? And it was saying how, uh, again, it was similar to that same theme where if they both are along the same lines of they bicker, is sometimes they do it jokingly or whatever. It's like their way of like interacting. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. And again, it's if they're both like that. And the last one was like what you're talking about. It's about people that validate each other. So they call them validators or something like that, where, you can express your opinion, the other person can express theirs. But they choose what to fight about. So they'll let a lot of things slide, but maybe it's a big decision that has to be discussed, and they'll, of course, hear you out. They're called validators, so they can let you say what you want to say, and I can say what I want to say. But at the end of the day, they'll choose what to fight about. So they may disagree on certain things, but they don't avoid the problems like the first group. They don't bicker all the time. So it was more of a balanced one out of the three to me. It's like, okay, you're valid in that, but I may disagree. So they may agree to disagree, something like that. But those were the three types that they said seem to have longevity in relationships. But they were saying the key is to have the same type of style of conflict resolution. So an avoider can't be with a bicker son. That's just a major clash. Or an avoider can't be with a bickerson can't be with a validator, because a validator doesn't want to argue about everything. The bickerson does. So we're showing you, like, again, that, complementary, like, like attracting like, not opposites, is kind of what the key is. So, like what you were saying, that just reminded me of that article, and that was on longevity in marital relationships, but I think it still applies to um, business relationships, especially if it's a partnership, you know, because that's when that theory comes into play, as opposed to just a sole proprietorship or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I think that it's key to be heard and listen, agree to disagree, because you may not always agree with somebody says, even if they share their opinion. But at least if you can come to some point of harmony, and again, like the deer, the medicine of the deer advises is not to force anything, not to be so negative, because the deer is all about love and gentleness. So it's the complete opposite. And for the medicine of the deer, it teaches you that, you know, that through the love of gentleness is where you can find that harmony. So again, all debates don't have to be resulting in like some company splitting and going separate ways, or a relationship, a partnership completely being severed. It's just finding a middle ground sometimes where you both can meet. So you may have to compromise a little bit of what you're willing to change or what not willing to change or whatever. But that's the key, at least with the deer, is not force it. Be gentle and be a little bit more objective to kind of see it from another perspective, as opposed to like your own, black and white thinking. But
Yeah.
those were the key, insights that stuck up for us. And again, another thing too, of course, is to me, when you're having internal conflict, specifically internal conflict with a decision, or even a conflict with a partnership, or if you have employees, I always suggest too as well, consult in spirit, like we're discussing right now. I'm pulling a card from the divination, so get a consultation, get some spiritual advice to see it from a different perspective, because spirit is indifferent. So it's not going to be, you know, well, I like you, so let me just, let the cards all come out to validate everything you're thinking. It's going to show you paths. So again, it's about finding the path to the best route. You ultimately can pick the path, but at least you can see what path will be most fruitful in that situation. So that's again when divination does make a difference, and kind of giving you a bit more insight into what's going on in the situation, or at least the energy that's governing that situation. So that's another tip I would suggest to do. And of course, we do consultations. I do spiritual wealth consultations. Of course, Chief Yuya does the consultation, and you can register for a consultation on, again, I always send everybody to the hub, which is inunation.org. You can find everything in the world of Anu there, classes, Osiris Life, as well as the consultations. And outside of that, you can also go to orishareligion.com and schedule an appointment there as well. Before we close out, Brother Damon, did you have any more announcements or comments to make?
No, well, I did have one comment. I would say to the conflict resolution too,
Mm-hmm.
is have a voice and speak up. You know, and we didn't. I don't think either one of us talked from that point of view. But
Mm-hmm.
if somebody does something that bothers you, don't stew about it either. Just say it. Hey, what you did, X, Y, and Z. I don't like that. Don't do that to me. I don't
Mm-hmm.
appreciate it. Don't talk to me that in that tone, or don't make jokes like that. It bothers me.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. But because it lets the other person know what where to come from too when they dealing with you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because people will do things to you that they think are okay that may not be okay,
Mm-hmm.
and then you get mad about it, and next thing you know, you blow up the third or fourth time they've done it, but you've allowed them to do it for 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
Without even ever saying, "Hey, listen, don't ever do me like that. I don't appreciate it. I don't like it."
Mm-hmm.
So that was one last thing I just wanted to throw out there. But all in all, great, great coverage of what we were talking about. But I just thought add that little piece to it.
No, that was perfect. That's beautiful. I'm sure we all needed to hear that. Um, and again, we are here every Monday from 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Masterminds Monday. Be sure to also check us out on Wednesdays for Anu Sako. That is 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then we have Underground Thursdays and Foundational Fridays. I cannot talk today. Foundational Fridays with Chief Yuya every Thursday and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And of course, you have Chief Yuya again on Chief Speaks at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's our show for tonight. And thank you for tuning in. And we will see you all next week. Peace.
Peace.